Damian Lillard just got traded to the Milwaukee Bucks, so I thought today would be a great day to break down some of his workouts that make him so athletic and explosive on the court. What's good, everybody? My name is Just Amari. I'm a strength and conditioning coach who helps athletes run faster and jump higher. This is a compilation of his workouts, so there's gonna be a lot of in and out videos, so I'm gonna try to pause a lot in this video, and I'm just gonna break down some of the stuff right there. Like he just did a hang clean with overhead press, but they literally showed it for 2 seconds, so I'm just gonna break it down. I think that's Paul Favorites. That'd be crazy. Right here, he's doing a lateral drill with the ladders, right? So this is really good for foot coordination, which can be very helpful for change direction stuff. It's also like a low intensity plyometric, which is really important for developing ankle stiffness. So there's a lot of cool benefits. It wouldn't make you faster. I'm not really a big believer in ladders making you faster, but I definitely think it can help with some footwork and coordination aspects. Right here, he's doing an alternating dumbbell press. So it looks like this. It's just an incline press, really good for developing the upper chest, but also is really good for the core. You gain some anti-rotation and some stabilization work in the core. Can help you be stronger on the core. You also push very close. So you do like 2 to 3 sets of 6 to 8 reps, trying to push for a little more strength and a little bit of hypertrophy, which will be really important for your shooting, but also being strong in the court, which is the most important thing. This is a back pedal with the ladder. Once again, it's just kind of like a good plyometric in a sense. Like I wouldn't say it would make you faster, especially with the sand. The ground contact times would be really slow, but it's really good for coordination. And if you do have really good footwork, you will be able to move faster. The same thing for just regular sprinting too. Like if you're trying to sprint, but your feet are landing in the wrong positions, you simply cannot sprint fast. So I don't think it's bad. This is a defensive bound. So you're kind of like getting a defensive stance. You're doing a lateral bound diagonal, and he might like flip his hips. Yeah, like you can see like that real little detail. He flips his hips and then does a diagonal bound the other direction. That's really good developing some quad and some lateral glute, which will help with change of direction on the offensive end and also defensive slides and just developing some power in the lateral glute and in the quads. It's just a good plyometric in general. With the sand, it'll be a little bit more strength oriented, which is not bad at all. This next one's pretty cool. So he has a basketball in his hand. He's in a defensive stance, and he's just doing a lateral kind of like side to side jump. But there's like a platform under him, so it's probably like a bumper plate. And he's just doing some quick lateral movements. This is a good extensive drill. It kind of teaches people how to be low. I wouldn't necessarily do it for everyone. I don't think it's the best thing out there, but it can be good for just teaching your body to kind of like groove in that position. I do something called, in the Speed Academy, it's called groove sets, where you get down to very low positions and you groove your body in that range of motion, just to teach your body what it feels like to be low to the ground and really accelerate. This is kind of like the same type of thing. It's kind of like a little mini isometric, but it's also just side to side movements. It's not that bad. So this one is a resisted like band a walk. So all he's doing is drive his knees, but he has bands around his hips. This would be really good for kind of activating the glute, but mainly the hip flexor. So drive your knee up, help strengthen hip flexor, which can be helpful for max velocity sprinting, and also 1 foot dunking. So that could be pretty helpful for some people. I don't do it for most people, but banded stuff in like a nice, gait cycle, a skip, a walk type of range of motion isn't bad. It can help with, opening up the hips and with that 1 foot bounce. Another thing that's really cool to note is that every time I'm skipping, and obviously this is not one of those clips, but every time I skip and I'm getting to these gym exercises, in between, it's just showing him on the court. But every time he's on the court, he's trying to dunk, which is a really big key. If you want to dunk, you want to jump higher, doing the actual movement, trying to dunk itself is going to help you dunk. So it's just a nice little kind of like neat, detail that I saw. This one's a band-resisted lateral slide. This is really good for developing change of direction and kind of improving crossovers, defensive slides. Like this is probably one of the best things. And it's just a lateral bound. So instead of actually sliding, you're gonna jump as far as possible and then land 1, 2, pause for a second, and then jump as far as possible. It's gonna develop concentric force. And then he goes into an actual sprint, right? So he's doing like this lateral concentric force drill, and then he goes into a sprint for about 10 yards. Really good for developing acceleration and change of direction. So overall, not a bad drill. I would do it on regular ground. The sand is okay, but if you're really trying to develop that acceleration, I would do it on regular ground. This one here is just, okay, so it's like just regular sprints for about 10 to 5 yards and then stop and then sprint again. This is good for developing your first 3 steps of your sprint. Also just regular resistance sprints, which I talk about in all my videos. These are all really good for developing that first 3-step explosion, which is what you need in basketball. You're gonna drive past your defender, do 3 to 5 steps to the rim, usually 2 to 3 steps actually. So developing acceleration is one of the most important things, and this is a great way to develop horizontal power. Resistance sprints, stop and goes, all not really bad ways to develop horizontal power. So this is a really cool sit-up variation. I've actually never seen it, but I've heard some people talk about this, like Corey Slanier, I think his name is. He works for like the Phoenix Suns, or he did work for the Phoenix Suns. He talked about like teaching your body to get up, and eventually once you get good at that, get loaded without your hands. So he got up completely with his legs without using his hands. I don't think he uses his right hand at all. He just got up with his legs while loading that overhead position. So it's really good for like T-spine mobility and just overall mobility in general. And it really teaches you how to use your legs and not compensate so much when it comes to trying to get off the ground, which when you're really tall, it's really hard for people to be okay with being on the ground and learn how to get up and off the ground very well. Nothing special about this. This is just band resisted bench presses. So when it comes to band resistance, it's called accommodating resistance. So the weight is harder at the top. Usually when you bench with no bands, it's hardest at the bottom, and then it's pretty easy towards lockout. And when you get heavier, it's gonna be hard throughout the entire movement. But like when you know the movement, you can handle the weight, it gets easier at the top. But now the band resistance makes it hard at the bottom and also hard at the top, which can be really good for like rate of force development and just overall concentric force. So it's a nice exercise for getting strong on the court. And it's also just a good exercise for plateauing your bench press if you're struggling with your bench press. This one right here is a push-up row. So he's just holding that top of the push-up position and rowing. Is a lot on the core. You're also gonna work obviously the back, the upper back, the mid back, a little bit of the lats depending on the position you use with your arm. But because you're in this position, the core is firing a lot, which is really transferable to the court. So if you're firing the core while also activating the back and a little bit of the chest, you're really gonna be strong on the court, which obviously Damian Lillard is one of the strongest people on the court when it comes to being a point guard who's undersized for the most part. So it's a really good exercise. I would actually suggest this for a lot of athletes. I would go a lot lighter than what he's doing. All right, this is, I don't know what he's cooking right now. I guess this is a core exercise. I thought he was about to do a pull-up. If you are an athlete and you're a basketball player, pull-ups is one of the best ways to train your lats and your upper back, and it's really, really transferable to the core. It'll get you really strong on the court. I don't know what that was at all. That is not on the Speed Academy. Yeah, so it looks like, I found the actual video. It looks like he's doing some type of like pull-up variation, but with the core as well. I mean, it could be beneficial. It seems really hard and a little dangerous for your shoulders. So personally, I would pass on it, especially as a hooper. Your shoulders is one of the most important things out there for your shooting. So I would probably pass, but like he's strong enough to do it, so it looks cool, I guess, right? Overall, Damian Lillard has some really cool exercises that you can add to your workout, especially the resistance sprints, some of the sand stuff he was doing, some of the lateral bounding he was doing. That will definitely help your explosiveness, but that's not the only picture to improving your speed. You need to check out this warm-up for improving your speed, or hop on the Speed Academy to see our warm-ups, or just get the free one down below.